It's my pleasure to welcome you all. I'm just so delighted to see all of you on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Idamae, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to empower us. I just want to say today you are in for a treat. We're going to have amazing interactions. You will get the answers that you need on how to boost your immune system, how to lose weight, manage your cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure, and much, much more. I am confident you will leave this virtual event knowledgeable and feeling empowered and optimistic to conquer your health challenges and achieve your health goals. So get your notepads out and be ready to ask questions at the end of Dr. Hannah's presentation. You can raise your hand in the chat and open up your mics. Again, I just want to say welcome to all. We'll now have the opening prayer by Prince Forbes.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Father in heaven, I want to thank you for this blessed day that you have granted unto us. Thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us all today. Father, as we bring before you this meeting, Father, we want to thank you for this one opportunity once again, where you have allowed your servant, Dr. Hannah, to bring your knowledge to your people today. Father, we pray that everyone who is in the sound, the hearing of her voice, may they gain the understanding as clear as day. And Father, we pray that as we leave this platform today, we pray that your wisdom will be imparted to each and every heart. And as we go, may we share your wisdom with those whom we come in contact. Father, I want to thank you for the success of this program, and we claim victory over this program in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen, amen. Dr. Hannah, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So I will just welcome you. So it's time now to hear from our speaker. Our speaker for today is our very own Dr. Idamae. She is a wonderful and extraordinary lady. She has helped so many persons live their best life through health and wellness, education, and support. She has a wealth of knowledge and wisdom to offer. Dr. Idamae holds a doctorate in naturopathic medicine from the Southern Graduate Institute of Naturopathic Medicine, Falcon, Kentucky, a master's degree in public health from Loma Linda University in California, and a Bachelor of Arts in social work from Oakwood University, Huntsville, Alabama. She is a registered dietitian, nutritionist with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics USA, and is a certified diabetes educator. She also holds certification from Uchee Pines Lifestyle Center as a lifestyle counselor. Dr. Hannah held the position of Health Ministries Director for South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists from the period 2007 to 2014. Dr. Hannah is currently the manager of the Better Living Health Center located in Nassau, Bahamas. It is a pioneer in wellness coordination and consultation. Its mission is to help people improve and maintain their health and quality of life. The center provides wellness programs and diet counseling for various chronic diseases. The center also sponsors the popular 8 Weeks to Wellness Community Action Program and has gotten national and international recognition. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Idamae Hannah.
Hello, everybody. It's really great to be able to be with you. And I need to share my screen. Can I do that at this time?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay, just a minute. Let me just go to the beginning. Okay. Now, I have been asked to share several different things to share about natural remedies in when it comes to food, because we were told that we should let our food be our medicine and our medicine our food, and that's exactly what it should be. Now, I just want to make sure, is everyone hearing me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. So we'll get to it because I want to leave enough time for questions. I just want to give a background of what we call complementary and alternative medicine. And these are all of these herbal things that God says, the leaves of the tree for the healing of the nation. That there are some people that, they are not into that, but actually that's where I hope that you'll be convinced that some of these things are very, very good. And as we get closer to the end times, as we can see, things are getting expensive. In the food store, food is getting expensive. We need to start using what we can grow in our yard. And there's lots of things that we have in our yard that we call bush. That is not bush. Example, that spinach that run on the fence with the purple berry, that is so potent in iron. It has more iron than anything I know, and it'll boost your iron very well and very quickly too. Then you have what the Jamaicans call callaloo, that we Bahamians call bush, that's sitting around, very high in calcium, lots of nutrients in it. Then, some of us know about the shepherd needle, right? The shepherd needle leaves are very good, like spinach. You could put it in your soup. I've actually used it in lasagna, and it's very health-giving. So what I'm trying to say, there are things in your yard that's edible, and you need to learn about them, because we may have to go back to some of those things to give us some of the nutrition and to support ourselves as things get worse, because we know, we're Bible-believing people, and we know, according to the prophecy, things are not going to get better. It's going to get worse. But go to my slide. Complementary and alternative medicine, which is called CAM, C-A-M, is continuously evolving as some alternative modalities become mainstream or evidence-based, because a lot being researched now. Some form of CAM, which is, and I have to say it again, complementary alternative medicine, are being incorporated into services provided by hospital, covered by health maintenance organizations, alternative medical therapies, especially chiropractic, acupuncture, and dietary supplements, including all those herbal remedies, and are the most commonly used therapies in the US and in the Bahamas, because we Bahamians know about we call it bush medicine. And yes, there are ways you can actually use them in the wrong way, but there are ways you can use them in the right way, okay? The percentage of people using complementary and alternative medicine is continuously increasing. Research shows that consumers are using CAM in addition to conventional medicine rather than in place of it, okay? So they're using it together. It is believed that escalating healthcare costs reduced medical benefits new evidence of the potential benefits of alternative treatments, and increasing numbers of people from ethnic groups that traditionally use herbal and other non-traditional therapies may be the reason for the increase in people using complementary and alternative medicines. Okay, a survey of the use of complementary and alternative medicine, a survey done in 1993. And honestly, there's a whole lot now. I'm sure there's some more current research, but this was done in 1993. Discovered that in 1990, 1 out of 3 Americans used some form of complementary alternative medicine and had made more visits to the alternative practitioners than to the primary care physicians. In a 2005 report, quality of life emerged as one of the most commonly cited reasons for using dietary supplements and other CAM treatments among cancer patients. So people were looking for quality of life. And this is one of the things that emerged during the research. Dietary supplements includes, I want you to know what all of this is. Dietary supplements include your vitamins, your minerals, your herbs, your amino acids, and specialty products such as fish oil, flaxseed oil, essential fatty acid, glucosamine that people use for their joint, glandulars, etc. All of these are classified as phytomedicines or dietary supplements or herbal remedies. The type of dietary supplements we will be focusing on today are botanical herb supplements, okay? We'll be focusing on those supplements. Because of the demand and the use, health professionals have to educate themselves on the uses and safety of herbal supplements. As a dietitian in the Academy of Dietetics, there is a whole program that deals with these things, because as dietitians and nutritionists, people are coming to us and we need to know what the precautions and the recommendations for some of these supplements, because people are asking, and we're realizing more and more the medical doctors need to get information. It's not a good thing to say, well, because I don't know, I just discount some of these things, because people are reading, people are using them, and so physicians and health care practitioners need to know and at least have an idea of the danger or the ways that these supplements can help, so that they would be able to share information with their clients. And the reason for that is, if you have a person that comes to you and they ask a question, they have been using something and they've been getting help, and then you discount it and say, oh, that's a bunch of garbage, then they're not going to look at you too well, because they know the help they're getting. Hence why we need to educate ourselves on these things. Okay, because of the demand and the use of health professionals, because of demand, the use, health professionals have to educate themselves on the uses and safety of herbal supplements. Many health professionals are skeptical about the use of herbal remedies and its safety. Toxicity from herbal products use is very rare, but nonetheless, they do exist. There's a few toxicity from the herbal family, but it is rare. They're not as toxic as some of the medication that people are using. Why learn about herbs? Medical herbs are used as self-medication. And again, this is a reason why, as health professionals, we have to educate ourselves about it, because people are self-medicating themselves. Physicians are not trained in herbal medicinal use. Herbs are used widely, worldwide, with a good track record. Herbs can be safe and effective alternative. Herbs can have side effects and contraindications. So again, we got to be wise, and we need to know what the contraindications are so that you can advise people and in the right way. Consumers learn about herbs from non-professional sources. Hence, another reason we as health professionals have to educate ourselves, because they're getting the information from the internet. And not always do you get good information from the internet. There are some good things you can get. Consumers expect guidance from the health professional. They do look to us for guidance. Plants as pharmaceuticals. The concept of drugs from plant is quite old. Herbal medicine was taught in the US medical school until about 1945, when the impact of penicillin and other pharmaceutical drugs began to dominate simple plant and hydroalcoholic-based remedies. About 25% of the prescription drugs today are derived from higher plants. Example, white willow bark. That's a supplement that I even have here at Better Living. That's where they get aspirin. Digitalis, foxglove, is where they get the digoxin. Okay, so you see, they use plant remedies many times before, until things became more chemical oriented. The use of plants as medicine is as old as this world. In Ezekiel 47 verse 12, it says, "And the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine." Revelation 22 and verse 2 says, "And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations." Hippocrates says, "Let your food be your medicine, and your medicine your food." And actually, if we do that, and we with the information that we are equipped with as Seventh-day Adventists, with all the research that we have gotten, and all about the blue zones and the 8 laws of health, we realize that eating right makes a difference. And people who eat right actually live longer. Global use of phytomedicine. And these are some background information you probably didn't know. And so I'm trying to build a foundation here. The World Health Organization encourages the use of traditional herbs, a decision based on cost, availability, effectiveness, and acceptance. Africa, Australia, South and Central America use herbal medicine as part of traditional healthcare. They literally use it in their healthcare. China provides the best example of integrating medicines by combining traditional Chinese botanicals and modern medicines. In Northern Europe, Germany leads the way in research and medicinal use of herbs. More than 80% of all physicians in Germany regularly use plant medication in their daily practice. So it's us in the Western world that's kind of behind the scene, okay? In countries like Germany, France, and Italy, treatment with phytochemicals, which is plant chemicals, is well established and regulated by the health authorities and reimbursed by insurance. So you can see we're far behind in the Western part. Consumer motivation in the use of herbal supplements. The fact that herbal products have been linked to improved outcomes for cardiovascular disease, cancer, depression, and mood disorders, HIV, AIDS, and PMS, menopause, arthritis, migraines, pain management, etc., is another reason why people use it. Another motivating factor is the perception that a natural alternative remedy will have fewer side effects. This is what people feel, and it seemed to play out too. Consumers believe that supplements offer safe, effective alternative to potentially harmful drugs, and maybe this is probably what is fueling the publicized, this may have been fueled by the publicized side effects and recalls of several pharmaceuticals. And so every year we get a lot of recalls of many of the pharmaceuticals. And all of these recalls is what's fueling this concern that maybe I should use some alternative because of the side effects that people are continuously getting from many of the pharmaceutical medications. Okay, forms of herbal preparation. These are the different forms that they come in. They come as teas, dried leaves, stems, and flowers. And when you're using teas, people, you should steep it in boiled water for 10 minutes and use. You're not supposed to get like how we get Cersei and we boil and boil and boil and boil. No, you're supposed to boil the water and steep the leaves for 10 minutes and then use it, okay? Tincture, 1 to 5, up to 1 to 10, 1 part botanical to 5 to 2 to 10 parts solvent. So these are the way you have the fluid extract, you have the solid or dry powder extract, and you have the plant juice. So there are different ways that they actually create some of these things. And there are usually the herbal tincture and powders usually follow this regimen. Okay, now let's go to some of these herbal things that can be helpful. Bilberry. Bilberry is something that, and you would see the common name that's on the screen, but what they use bilberry for is retinopathy or any kind of cataracts or macular degeneration in the eyes. I literally use bilberry and it really does make a difference for me. I have noticed the difference. You could get it in capsules and there are no known side effects or interactions that is known with the use of bilberry and so forth. So this is something that one could use as a supplement for the eyes. Black cohosh is another herb that you can find. And if you notice, it is recommended for hot flashes and female problems, along with in combination with milk thistle, red clover, chasteberry. These are known herbs that are very good for menopause. And I'll tell you right now, when I was going through menopause, I used chasteberry, which is Vitex or chasteberry, the same name, and I use evening primrose oil that we're going to hear about later. But these are some of the things that you can use. I do know that red raspberry and red clover are excellent for any female problem because it helps with helping to balance those hormones and very good. Okay, chasteberry is another name is Vitex. This was one that I used when I was going through menopause and it really helped. There's no contraindications that you or any problems that this herb will give to you. So it's pretty safe to use. And here is the evening primrose oil. It's also, up here it tells you where it grows and the things that it's used for. Also rheumatoid arthritis and of course the menopausal symptoms. Usually it says overall only a few small exploratory studies of evening primrose oil have been published. The evidence is insufficient to draw clear conclusions about the efficacy. Results from these studies suggest hints of modest benefits for eczema, rheumatoid arthritis, and breast pain and menstrual syndrome. But I have known a whole lot of people who used it and have gotten a lot of good effect from it. Dong Quai is another herb, and you could see what the active ingredients are. And there's no toxicity or contraindication that is known, but it is known to help. Again, this is one of those menopausal things. It helped to balance the hormones. It is very good for gynecological complaints, okay? Echinacea. Now, I think echinacea got a lot of rap during COVID-19 because it was one of these herbs that UG Pines really, really encouraged people to use as to help with the COVID-19 epidemic, and it really helped. I tell you, here, the echinacea is like, along with golden seal, is a natural antibiotic. It is uses for the prevention and treatment of cold, flu, ear problem. It's an immunostimulant. It is recommended that it be taken for a specific time period and then discontinued to allow the body to rest. It's not something you take forever. And all herbal products is not supposed to be taken forever. Toxicity or contraindications, echinacea is essentially non-toxic, taken orally, but it is contraindicated in AIDS, multiple sclerosis, and autoimmune diseases. These cannot get help from echinacea, and it's actually contraindicated in these problems. And here is what people bought a lot of, and it was recommended by UG Pines, but I can tell you, I can attest to this, because for years, I do not travel out of the country without some echinacea golden seal, the same liquor bottle in my purse. I carry it with me because if I got a sore throat, I squirt that directly. It is bitter because the golden seal is bitter. Echinacea is not usually bitter. But in the combination, these two, it's like a great antibiotic. It actually works when other medications don't work, okay? I would squirt it. It'll cause me to shake because it's bitter, but it works. Usually, overnight, the sore throat is wiped out. Okay. And so during COVID-19, people felt something was coming on. They came in here and boy, they got some echinacea golden seal. They used it and it just wiped things out. And it's always good to get it before things set in. But of course, it helps even in the aftermath. And so it was one of those things that UG Pines recommended. But we always had it because I had learned of how good the echinacea golden seal was long time ago. Okay, there's another herb called feverfew. Okay, this one is very good for migraines and headaches and those kinds of things. Toxicity or contraindications, adverse effects associated with the use of feverfew include mouth ulcers in susceptible individual, usually after chewing the leaves. No long-term toxicity studies have been done. However, feverfew is contraindicated in pregnancy and lactation. And many of these herbs, they tell you to be very careful with pregnancy and lactation because it has not been tested there and you don't want to put your child at risk. So usually there's very few herbs that you would use during pregnancy because we're not sure. Okay, the only thing I know people can use is a little mint tea and maybe ginger tea and so forth like that. But most of the herbs, you have to be very cautious about that when you're pregnant. Okay, garlic. Everybody, you know, I must say during COVID-19, garlic, the garlic powder in the food store, you could hardly find it, because everybody was getting garlic. Garlic is so effective and it is well researched. Garlic is effective for atherosclerosis, colorectal cancer, gastric cancer, hyperlipidemia, hypertension, prostate cancer. The garlic has to be crushed or chewed to cause the alien to come into contact with the enzyme allinase, which transform the alien to allicin, and the source of the terrible smell that we usually get, okay? The components of garlic thought to have key pharmaceutical properties, okay? Now, allicin is known to have extensive antimicrobial activity. This is why garlic is so good. Now, there are lots of people who wouldn't mind the garlic, but they don't like the smell. Let me tell you something. If you want to get rid of that smell, when you use that garlic, you go and eat or chew on some parsley. That's why the people in, I think the French, who eat a lot of garlic, they always have parsley, because parsley takes away that terrible smell. So people who use a lot of garlic, just use some parsley and it'll take away all that scent. Toxicity or contraindication side effects of garlic preparations include gastrointestinal complaints. Some people may do have gastro, so if you have a problem, then you have to be careful with that. Allergic, and it might be better to use it in something rather than by itself. Allergic reaction, some people are allergic to garlic, and the garlic odor and the breath and the skin, okay? It is possible that garlic may potentiate the effect of anti-hypertensive and anticoagulant medication. And if you are taking garlic and you have to go to the doctor and you have to do an operation, you need to let your physician know that you've been taking garlic, and you need to stop the use of garlic ahead of time, because garlic helps to keep the blood from clotting, okay? That's why it's so good for people who have, may tend to have blood clots and so forth like that. But if you are going to take an operation, you need your blood to clot, okay? So be aware that you need to let your physician know what you're using, and you need to be wise in how you're dealing with these things. Garlic is something that works so well in the food. It makes the food taste awesome, and at the same time, it is medicine, okay? I just want to say garlic. Let me jump to cayenne, and then I'm going to come back to garlic. Cayenne is another herb that is awesome, okay? And you got to make sure it's cayenne. Black pepper, red pepper, gold pepper, they are stomach irritants, but cayenne pepper is very therapeutic. Here are the uses. It's good for external bleeding. Listen, anytime I get cut or anyone in my house gets cut, my brother is a construction, he works in construction, and if you go in his truck right now, there is a bottle of cayenne in there. If anyone got cut on the job, all you have to do is just put some of that cayenne right into that wound. Yes, it's gonna sting, but it's not gonna damage you. But it'll stop the bleeding, okay? It is also said that it can actually help a person who is having a stroke, or they can use a little cayenne under the tongue and head to the emergency room. It can actually save your life, okay? It can stop a heart attack. It's used for flu, colds, rheumatism, inflammation, and it's used in combination for high blood pressure. In fact, there are some supplements that I do have with hawthorn and other herbs, but cayenne is in it for circulation. So it's definitely a very, very good herb. Very excessive use can damage the kidney. So here again, moderation in all things. We can't just say, oh, this is good for me, and all you're doing is just using cayenne. People, this thing go with sense. Just because something is good more is not better. We need to be very careful how we use some of these herbal things that are very good, that God has given us to help us with other problems. Let me tell you another thing. When people couldn't get your vitamin C and all those, because during COVID-19, when you go into the food store, you couldn't find hardly anything. Well, you needed to have something on board because people were dying with COVID-19. Well, listen here, get your garlic. What we would do, I would just get the garlic powder, the granulated garlic powder from the store. And that's why during COVID-19, I couldn't even find the garlic. So it's a good thing we had a good supply in our house, because we keep it for all kinds of different things. And then we got our little cayenne, and we got our lemon juice, and so forth. You could use the fresh if you want to, but for fastness and since it worked just as well, I just got the granulated garlic powder. And we use 1 tablespoon of the granulated garlic powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne, just a little bit, okay? 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of water. And that was a dose. Let me tell you something. If you were stuffed up, you had a bad sore throat, mucus, you're completely congested. Even if you have your little shortness of breath and so forth, you use that concoction, you could feel the mucus flowing down. It breaks up that mucus. That is so awesome. Another thing, you need to know that onions is a good thing. I remember it as a child because in my house, a lot of us had allergies and many of us used to have asthma. And my mom used to take the onions and make onion sandwich. Ooh, I hated that onion sandwich. But it wasn't until I grew up and started learning about these things that I realized the value of onions. It is a known thing that if you have some kind of congestion, if you put chopped onions in your sock, okay, and just put that in your sock, the bottom of your feet, or you make a little poultice and put it on your chest, it will help. It will break up that mucus. And that is so amazing. These are things that God has made for us to eat that is so wonderful. And the good thing about it, it can't hurt you because it's food, okay? So what you do, you use things wisely and you don't overdo. Don't go and just use cayenne every day. But there's nothing wrong with a little cayenne in a mixture that you're using for medication. Of course, if you have acid reflux and acid stomach, you may need to be very careful with that because you don't want the irritation from that. Okay, ginger is another thing. Ginger was popular and still is during COVID-19. The uses for abdominal distension, coughing, vomiting, diarrhea, rheumatism. Ginger stimulates the digestion and improves the production and the secretion of bile, okay? For nausea and vomiting, it tells you what you can use. And there's no side effects of ginger that is, and there's no known dosage given, but I love ginger tea. I love putting ginger in a combination with the fever grass and it just gives a nice flavor. Ginkgo biloba. Some of you know what ginkgo biloba is, but I know because I'm using ginkgo biloba. I am 63 this year. I can't believe it myself. And you know, the memory, is like, oh, memory isn't as good. So I started using ginkgo. And I have noticed a difference. Ginkgo leaf extract seems to improve symptoms of age-related macular degeneration. Ginkgo seems to improve cognitive function in some elderly people with mild to moderate age-related memory impairment. So if you're having a little problem with memory, and see the problem in our world today, there's so much coming at us. There's a whole lot coming at us at the same time. And so sometimes we need a little something to help us with memory because it's just so much coming at us. Okay, the toxicity of therapeutically applied standardized ginkgo extract is very low. So there's hardly any problem here with the contraindications. Okay, now I just want to go to managing diabetes because that's one of the things that we wanted to share in here. And I don't want anyone to leave here and say they didn't get what they want. So before I go on with some other herbal things, I want to just address this. Chromium picolinate is a supplement. It's one of those minerals that the body needs, like calcium, magnesium. It is the supplement of choice for people who have diabetes, at least type 2 diabetics. It doesn't work for type 1 diabetics, but for type 2 diabetics, these are the people who are overweight and they are adult onset because of the weight and the lifestyle. These people can get help from the use of chromium picolinate because what it does, it helps with the metabolism of carbohydrates. And carbohydrates is one of the things that actually push the blood sugar up. Now, I hear people talking bad about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are very important. These are your carbs. As long as it's whole plant foods, carbs, okay? Not refined carbs. We have the people who are using the sugar and the white flour and all those kinds. Those are refined carbs. I encourage you to use the complex carbs, which are your whole plant foods, like your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, your cassava, your brown rice, your rolled oats, what's another? Your whole grain pasta, your corn. These are your complex carbohydrates. These are the carbohydrates that the body needs. So no one can decide, well, Jack, carbohydrates send your blood sugar up, so I eat none. I just eat my protein and eat vegetables. Well, people, let me tell you something. You can't live too long on that, because the carbohydrates is what give you the fuel that the body needs. The bulk of your fuel comes from your starchy carbs, okay? You have your fruit carbs, you have your vegetable carbs, but the bulk of your energy comes from your complex starchy carbs. So you cannot decide not to use any starchy carbs, or else you'll end up with headache, you'll start getting weak, and you start becoming sick, because you need a combination to be able to help to keep you well. Well, the most important thing for diabetics is what you put in your mouth, okay? So there's no there are some herbs that people can use, but it isn't just the herbs, it's what you put in your mouth. So the first thing a diabetic needs to deal with is what you're putting in your mouth and how you're balancing your meal. And once you could get that down pat, if there's an herb that may help, that would be able to assist. But it's not going to assist when you're not dealing with what you're putting in your mouth. Your fate is your plate. And we got to get that down pat, because that's the truth. Now, you need to eat. If you're diabetic, you need to eat according to the plate. Half your plate's supposed to be your vegetables. That's most of what you eat, whether it's raw or cooked. And people, when I say half, I mean half. I don't mean for you to have the whole plate full of rice and then you have little vegetables on the side. Half your plate's supposed to be your vegetable. A quarter of your plate's supposed to be your starch, because you do need some of those starchy carbs, okay? And then the other quarter of your plate should be your proteins. And then you could have a fruit for dessert. If you eat in a balance like that, usually you can get your blood sugar under better control. But if you're eating most of your starch, a typical Bahamian, the whole plate full of rice, then you have a piece of corn, which is starch, then you have some plantain, which is also starch, and then you may also have what? Potato salad, macaroni and cheese, loaded with starch. Well, honey, if you're diabetic, your blood sugar going up, because 100% of the starches turn to blood sugar. All of it turn to blood sugar, 100%. And it'll spike your blood sugar. The difference with the vegetables, although they're carbs, they're non-starchy vegetables, they will not make a lot of blood sugar. In fact, as a diabetic, we tell people that they're free foods, because you could eat a ton of vegetables and it do nothing to your blood sugar. But once you put the starch and the fruit in there, they make more blood sugar, but you do need some. You don't need a lot, but you do need some. So we tell people, if you're eating fruit make a good bit of blood sugar. So what you do, you eat one fruit for breakfast, one fruit for lunch, one fruit for dinner, if you like fruit. But don't eat 2 and 3 fruits if you're diabetic, because your pancreas is not functioning the way that it used to, and that may cause a problem. Another thing you need to know, lifestyle management of diabetes. There are 3 things you need to deal with. And if you need to see a dietitian, or a nutritionist, you probably need to come so that you can get the help you need. You may say, oh, I ain't got no money to pay for that. But guess what? You can pay for it, because if you don't get that blood sugar under control, and you don't deal with the diet, the blood sugar is going to continuously climb, and then the doctor is going to continuously increase your medication, and you will hardly ever get your blood sugar under control because you're not dealing with the issue, okay? So if you need help, invest in yourself. You may only need 1 or 2 visits, but invest in yourself, learn how to manage your blood sugar, and then you will be able to keep it under good control, because anytime your blood sugar goes up, it really puts you at risk for a whole lot of problems, because the body is not going to heal very well. You're probably going to end up having problems with your eyes. You'll have problems with your legs because of circulation. There's a lot of people who lose their limbs because of diabetes. And finally, if you don't do something about it, you lose your kidney and you have to go on dialysis. Now, it makes sense to pay one little $80 or so to come and see a dietitian, take an hour and let them help you with a plan, and then do what you need to do so that you can avoid all of these problems that you may have because of blood sugar out of control. And of course, the weight is the driver for type 2 diabetes. The type 1s have to be on insulin because their pancreas doesn't work anymore. But the bulk of the people, which is 90% of the diabetics, are type 2. They can do something about it. They just need to lose some weight and eat properly and get some exercise. And what you do, when you do that, the blood sugar comes down and you're able even to get off a medication if you're doing the right thing. It can be done. I see it happen in my office all the time. So the 3 main things for diabetes management: you need proper diet. You need that balance, okay? And the reason you need that balance, you need that protein. Proteins don't make a whole lot of blood sugar, and proteins are very important, okay? I know of some people who decide to become vegetarians and they get rid of the meat, but they're not putting in ample protein from beans and peas and nuts, which is very important. And because of that, their blood sugar goes sky high because all they're eating is carbs. Be aware that 100% of the carbs turn the blood sugar. The proteins, they don't all turn the blood sugar, but the proteins hold down the carbs and keep them from spiking your blood sugar. So you do need to know how to balance that meal in order to keep that blood sugar from spiking. And this is what you need. You know, a lot of us perish because of a lack of knowledge. When people understand and see what it was, they say, boy, if I only knew this, I could have get my blood sugar under control a long time. But they're fighting to get it, and they're eating healthy, you know. They're eating fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. Yes, they're eating brown rice, but they're not eating the right combination, and hence the blood sugar is going up. So again, reiterating, a good balanced diet, exercise, okay, this, and then trying to get your body to the right weight is going to help. And even if you don't lose the weight as fast, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're getting the exercise and you're eating balanced, you can get that blood sugar under control, okay? So I just want to put in a plug for that. Now let's go on with some of the other herbal things. Okay, ginseng. Ginseng, you hear a lot about it in ginseng. This is an Asian herb that a lot of people are using. Ginseng has been noted for its ability to help the body cope more efficiently with stress, improve cognitive function in healthy middle-aged people, decrease fasting blood sugar. So here again, ginseng can help with that too. But if you're not dealing with the diet thing, I mean, ginseng only could do so much. It can't really take care of people like a pill or to pop something, but that's not the answer for diabetes control. You need to get your diet under control, okay? Toxicity or contraindications of ginseng: use at the recommended dosage. Ginseng is generally safe. Persons with uncontrolled high blood pressure should not use ginseng, okay? So you need to know here again, you need to be aware of what you can and what you cannot use. Grapeseed extract, you hear a lot of people talk about grapeseed extract, is known to help assist the body in resisting various pathogenic conditions, rich in bioflavonoids, these plant chemicals, these botanical and antioxidants, and they help with the free radical to inhibit them. One of these things that really have this nice extract, that grapeseed extract, is the muscadine grape seeds. Now, when I was at UG Pines, these muscadine grapes was all up in the bush. And they had a thick skin, but they are potent with antioxidants, okay? So if you can get muscadine juice, it is very, very, very good with antioxidant. Toxicity or contraindications, there are no known risk, contradictions, or drug interaction with this. Of course, when it comes to any kind of grape juice, diabetics need to be very careful with the juices, because the juices are an extraction, and drinking juices, if you're a diabetic, will shoot your blood sugar up very high. So again, it's healthy, but you need to know your limitations, because if your pancreas is not functioning properly and you go and drink a glass of grape juice or this type of juice, your blood sugar is going up. Okay, neem is another thing, and it grows in our environments, okay? Neem, antifungal, anti-inflammatory. It's a blood purifier, it detoxifies, it's very good for the skin and skin problems, joints and teeth. We have here the neem, the Abaco neem. They do a powder for brushing your teeth. You have the lotions, you have the extract. And I will always remember there was a little young guy. He was a little boy and he had cancer. And his mom was trying to help him because he was in a lot of little pain. But when she used the neem extract for him and gave him a tiny bit of that, and that really helped him. So it really is a good herb, but you use it in the right way. I use a toothpaste that has neem. It has neem and another herb in it. And I tell you, it really helps. If you were having any bleeding gums or anything, it literally helps with that. So the neem is very helpful. Known to be a natural pesticide for your garden. By the way, the Ministry of Agriculture says there's only one natural pesticide, and that's neem. So you could get the leaves, or you could boil the tea, and you could use it in a spray bottle. You could use it on your plants. The neem is very good for that. Okay, eye bright. You know, all of us have a little problem with our eye now after having to gaze into this computer so much. I never see so many people with eye problems as we do today. And you can understand why, because for 2 years, we were on Zoom, okay? Best single herb for the eye. Drink tea. We used to have the tea and we used to have the liquid tincture here at Better Living, but the Americans didn't realize how good that was. And so the company that we had just kind of discontinued it. I need to find it again, but it is a very good, but I do have the capsules, and you could actually use the capsules and you could make a tea from that, and you'll have to strain it and so forth. It was so much easier when we had it in the tea bag and the liquid tincture. Okay, it relieves discomfort from the eye strain or minor eye irritation. Eye Bright is used as an eye wash, and that's what we were using it for, an eye wash, and it really does help, especially combined with Golden Seal. Okay, and they're telling you what the preparation is for using this that way. Another one is hawthorn. Hawthorn is so good. My brother, I have a special needs brother. He is now 40 years old, believe it or not. But he was born with a hole in his heart and a hole in his lung. He has had to have open heart surgery and open lung surgery in order to live. And he has been on Hawthorn He is not on any medication. Okay. My mom, when he was young, she saw on the bottle, and this is wrong for them to have on the bottle of the medication that they give the people. She saw 2 crosses and a skull, and it says poison. so she literally weaned him off of that and started using Hawthorne. And he was getting his regular checkup with his cardiologist. And the cardiologists used to come across from the US to see the patients here who have had these surgeries and so forth like that. And his pediatrician, it was like, he's using all his medication. And then my mom told him what she had done. And he said, what? And then he looked at him and checked him over, and he was doing fine. So the pediatrician had him as a testimony and shared his information with all the cardiologists, that the team of cardiologists that came and said, this one is not on medication. And they checked him over and everything. They said, whatever you're doing, continue doing it. Frankie is 40 years old now. He is a total vegetarian, so he has been plant-based from day one. And so he's typically not overweight like most children like him. And he is doing fine. And we're continue to give him the Hawthorne and to monitor him and do the best we can for him. So Hawthorne is a very good herb for the heart. It protects the heart. And this is one of the herbs that people, when they go to UG Pines, they definitely put them on Hawthorne. Okay, other herbal remedies, milk thistle, which is silymarin, that's another name for it, has chemoprotective effects on specific cancers. Only side effects consist of transient gastrointestinal complaints to some. So if you're having that, then you have to leave it alone. St. John's wort is another one used for mild to moderate depression. It really helps to calm people down. No side effects known. Saw pimento, a lot of men are using this for prostate problems and so forth. And most of the herbal prostate combination would have saw pimento in it. Okay, other herbs is valerian root. Valerian root is an herb that is very important in sleep. You know, there's a lot of people who have sleep deprivation right now, and they're stressed out and so forth. And if you're not sleeping, after a while, you can actually start hallucinating. So you need to make sure you're getting your rest, because that's when the body repairs itself. So if you need something to help you to sleep, valerian root is something that you can use, and you will not get addicted to something like valerian root. So this is one that you can always use. There is some people who have this chronic sleep problem. There is a liquid something that you can do that has a combination of valerian root, melatonin, and couple other herbs that relates to rest and sleep. For the very chronic people, you can actually check us out for that. Now, corn silk. People, you know what is corn silk? You know the hair from the corn, the hair that when we shuck the corn, you get that hair. That hair is called the silk. Now, we used to sell the silk as tea here at Better Living, and we had a liquid tincture. And of course, the company we use they don't realize the importance of it, so they discontinue. So I have to find another way to get my corn silk. However, corn silk is very readily available here in the moment. So when people end up with bladder infection or kidney problems or urinary tract infections, usually the doctor would give them Bactrim. I think that's the medication that they usually get. But I have several people come to me after they've used all of the Bactrim that they were given. The urinary tract infection came back, and they said, what could I do? And I said, go in the store, get some corn, take the silk of the corn, and then boil the water, put some of the silk in there. One corn can give you at least 3 cups of tea. and you steep it for about 10 minutes and you drink it. And boy, I've had people come back to me in 2 days. It's like, that thing really worked. It went away. So if you have urinary tract infection, corn silk can't hurt you. Boil, because when you boil your corn, you boil it some of the silk in there and it drink the water. It helps in urinary tract infection. It helps with prostate. It helps to move fluid. It's a natural diuretic. It literally moves fluid. I'll tell you what happened to my aunt, Aunt Mabry. She has passed away, but she lived with us until she was in her almost in her 80s when she passed away. She lived with us and she had high blood pressure. And when her blood pressure was high, she would have shortness of breath because she had an enlarged heart also, and she had fluid retention. And so she was on diuretics, okay, and her high blood pressure medication. And so we gave her corn silk, okay? It was just another help with the diuretic. Do you know, as long as she used that corn silk, she did along with what she had to use, she had no shortness of breath. Anytime she got off of that corn silk, she had shortness of breath. And so we kept corn silk in the house. If you go to my house today, you will see corn silk there. We keep our silk because we know how important it is. And let me tell you, it's not just us who know how important it is. I was in Solomon one day, and there was these people from right across from us, Cubans. And they were there shelling all the corn for everybody who passed. And then when I went to get my corn, they started to shell mine. I said, no. I want the silk. They said, oh, you know about that too. So they were there gathering all the silk they could get from shelling the corn for the people who were coming there to get their corn. People, a lot of other countries utilize these natural remedies, okay? And corn silk can't hurt nobody. Leaf of life is another one that we have growing in our environments, used for insect bites, toothaches, sprain, and colds, and those kinds of things. You could use it in your green smoothie. That's what I use. We have some, I put it in a soup too sometimes. So this is what the leaf of life look like, and it grows very readily here in the Bahamas. Other herbals, pomegranates. Pomegranate grows in our environments very readily. You don't even have to plant it. It grows. Early research findings suggest that pomegranates may slow the progress of prostate cancer. Preliminary research shows that pomegranate juice might improve blood flow to the heart. It is believed that pomegranate has chemicals that might have antioxidant effects. Obviously, this fruit needs more study, and we may learn a lot more in the future. But guess what? It can't harm nobody. It is one of those fruits that is very good for us, and we see it, and it's very expensive in the food store. Other herbals, wormwood and black walnut. Let me tell you, these herbs are good. I tell you, I knew somebody who was fighting with scabies for the longest, okay? And working and went to doctors and got all the medication and did all the stuff, but it keep coming back. Do you know, when I decided I got the black walnut with the wormwood combination together, and 1 week, in 1 week after fighting with that for so long, 1 week, the black walnut and wormwood took it away. Of course, these herbal, black walnut and wormwood, you just use it for at least 7 to 10 days, and then you discontinue. You don't use it continuously. But just to show you how effective these are, after using all the medications and chemicals and nothing worked to do the job properly, I think the person was continuously getting reinfected, but this did the job. Okay, catnip is another one that is very good. The old people used to give the people catnip for worms and stuff like that. I know catnip, when I was at UG Pines, they actually use it for sleep. That's amazing. But here in the Bahamas, we use it for worms and so forth. But it's also good for bronchitis and all those kinds of things. Sage is another thing that is very good for fever. Listen here. we keep sage in our yard because when my nieces and nephews were coming up, then they came down with fever. You boil a little bit of sage and you give it to them, and it took away the fever. I had one of my nephews came down with a very rare disease. I can't even pronounce it. Right now, I can't remember the name of this. He had to be hospitalized. His tongue was red. Most of the physicians can tell which one this was. But it actually manifested itself with high fever. And so what we were doing, we were using we used the Carl Paul, and the Carl Paul wasn't working. So then we started using the sage, and then we realized it would break the fever. And then after about a day, it would come right back. So then we realized that this is strange. And that's when we took him to the doctor, and we discovered he had this rare disease that they had to hospitalize him and treat him for that problem. But the key thing is the sage actually works when the other medications did not, okay? So sage is something you can use in seasoning, because many of the times when we're making our stuffing, we use rubbed sage in it because the sage gives that nice flavor, and it's a seasoning that you can use, but it's also very medicinal, and it helps with all these other things. And notice it helps with the flow of milk in nursing mothers, good for stomach ailments, diarrhea, gas, colds, and it expels the worms. So it's very good for that. Coconut oil. There's a lot of discussion and research going on about the use of coconut oil in helping Alzheimer's disease patients. This is one that needs more research because there's conflicting information. There's still a lot of caution with the use of coconut oil due to its saturation, because coconut oil is very highly saturated, okay? You notice it gets hot at room temperature because of the amount of saturation in it. It's one of those saturated fats. We do know that it's a medium chain fatty acid, which can make a difference. It's a little different from the long chain fatty acid that you find in the animal meats and stuff. But however, there's a potential for it raising the cholesterol. And so it is recommended that coconut oil, you use it very sparingly if you're going to use it at all. And if you're really having a problem with the cholesterol, you probably want to be very cautious about using it, because you don't want the problem. Be aware that all fats are extraction and concentrated. And we always say to everyone, all fats need to be used very sparingly. Example, even if you get corn oil, it takes about 15 ears of corn to get 1 tablespoon of corn oil. So it's very concentrated. So because we need more research about the coconut oil, we move with caution there. Of course, it'll be better for you to just use the coconut milk and use the coconut as the way God made it, with all the other things in it that work synergistically together to help to keep you healthy. That would be a better way to go than just using, some people prefer to just cook with coconut oil, but be very careful about all oils and even coconut oil, especially if cholesterol is a concern, because we need more research in that area. Okay, aloe. Okay, Numbers 24 verse 6 says, the Lord planted aloe. And that's a very important thing. Aloe is the queen of the herbal family, and it's good for so many ailments. The herb of choice for gastro ailments. If you have acid reflux, stomach ulcers, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or celiac disease, anything to do with your gut from your mouth to your anus, aloe will help to heal. Listen here. If you were to get burned right now, and you were to put aloe directly on that burn, it will not blister. The same way it will not blister is the same way it will actually help with the inflammation and heal up internally. And so one of the best things for people to use if they have acid reflux is aloe. But be aware that with acid reflux, many times the problem with acid reflux is you're not eating on time. Most people who have acid reflux, they eat breakfast like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. They eat all over the place. And then they're not people who pick. They don't like to pick in between. They like to sit down to eat. And many times they're so busy until 6, 7 hours go before they eat the next meal. People, that can't work. I could tell you because I came down with acid reflux myself, okay? And it is important that you eat on time. You shouldn't allow more than 4.5 to 5 hours between that meal. And then you need to eat balanced so that the body would hold it. Because if you only eat carbs like oatmeal and a fruit, which is only carbs, it will only hold you for 2 hours. But if you put a protein in there by putting some nuts in there, it will hold you for 5 hours and allow that stomach not to start bubbling before it's supposed to. And if you eat on time and you use the aloe to heal up that inflammation in the gut, and use something like slippery elm, I'll tell you about that in a minute, it helps to heal. Now, if you have a problem with acid reflux, people, you probably need to be on some probiotics because you probably need to restore the healthy bacteria in the gut. Many people who end up with acid reflux have been using antibiotics for a long time, and it kills out all the healthy bacteria in the gut, and therefore you have more issues. So while you're trying to heal up the gut, you need to use some probiotics to help to restore the healthy bacteria in the gut, in the bacterial flora, so that you would be able to heal the area, okay? Skin irritants, aloe is good for, and listen here, I use it for my eye. It's very good. No, you don't use it directly in your eye with that yellow sap. What you would do, get a little piece of the aloe and let some of the aloe go into about 1 ounce or 2 ounces of the water. Don't let it get thick, just a little bit. And then you take a clean finger and dip it in and do a little drop in the eye. Boy, let me tell you, I have allergies. And sometimes if something in my eye, I could feel the pressure coming on and my eyes would start to swell. And the swelling would last about 2 days. If I could get to aloe right away, it'll stop the swelling just like that. And aloe is known to be good for cataracts and all those kinds of things too. So you dilute it and then you put a few drops in the eye. It really helps. It also helps with rashes and insect bites, and excellent for hemorrhoids. People, if you have hemorrhoids, this is what I learned at UG Pines. You take the gel of the aloe, you cut it in about 2 inches suppository strips, okay? And you put it on a piece of wax paper and you freeze it so that it can be hard, and you can push it up the rectum, and it helps to heal up those hemorrhoids. That's the best way to help to heal those hemorrhoids up. You can also use a hot and cold sitz bath to help with that too. But the aloe suppository will work. And to get it to become a suppository, you have to freeze it so that it will be able to be pushed up in the rectum. Slippery elm, a great herb for any type of gastro problem, including acid reflux and Crohn's disease. Okay, also used for burns, gangrenous wounds, and hemorrhoids, tumor and wounds. Slippery elm is really good, and I used it when I was having my acid reflux, and I recommend it highly to people with acid reflux. And I see a lot of people with acid reflux. Be aware too, people who have acid reflux, the first thing I'm going to ask them, do you have sinus? Most of them have sinus, and that tells that they have some kind of allergies, okay? And anytime I get someone with acid reflux, I say, or if I have a person with allergies, the first thing I would ask them, do you have acid reflux? And usually they say, yes. So those two things go together, okay? So people with allergies or sinus, and if you say, well, I don't have sinus, if you have itchy eyes and an ear problem, an itchy throat, you one of those people, okay? And the biggest thing you need to stay off is dairy products. Dairy products mess you right up. And if you have acid reflux, the worst thing you could be using is dairy products. And people, that's the cream too. Because some people say, well, I don't drink milk, but they're using the cheese and they're using the cream and they're putting it in their tea. Well, all of that is the same thing. Ice cream. There's so many different things you can get today. If you're a person like me who can't have dairy products, there's non-dairy ice cream. There's non-dairy cheese. There's non-dairy, a whole lot of stuff. You're not missing anything. You just, yes, they do cost a little bit more. But for your little sweet tooth, you could get, something like that. Flax seeds is another thing. Flax seeds, due to its insoluble fiber, is an excellent thing for constipation and keeping one regular. So you can use the flax seed and in your cereal and in your food, and the flax seed would up your insoluble fiber, which helps to keep you regular and helps with constipation. Flax seeds also has soluble fiber, which you notice the flax seed, when you put water in it, it gels, and anything that's soluble holds water and it gels. And it actually is excellent in helping the body to excrete cholesterol. So people who have a cholesterol problem, you need to be using some flaxseed. Of course, you need to grind up the flaxseed, because if you use the flaxseed whole, it goes out the same way it comes in. And you wouldn't get the benefits. You wouldn't get the omega-3 fatty acids that comes from the oils of the flaxseed. You would get the insoluble fiber, but you wouldn't be able to get the soluble fiber as much. So grind it up in a blender and you will be able to get all those nutrients. The flaxseed oil is excellent for intestinal inflammation. I know at UG Pines, they give them flaxseed oil if they have lupus, because of course that's inflammation and it really helps, okay? Flaxseed has a nutty flavor when used in cereal or salads. Ground flaxseed can be used as an egg replacer in breads and pastries, and we use it a lot here at Better Living. We put it in our Johnny bread. We put it in our lentil carrot cake. We put it in our breads. We always using flaxseed because it's an egg replacer and it lightens up those recipes. So feel free to use it. This is your food, okay? Oat bran is another thing. Oat bran is a fiber of the oat kernel. I'm not sure I spelled that right. Oat bran has soluble fiber, just like the flaxseed. And notice when you cook your oatmeal, it gels. Well, that same soluble fiber in the oatmeal actually helps the body to excrete cholesterol. But if you have a cholesterol problem, it'll be good for you to eat your oatmeal, but get some oat bran. The oat bran is the fiber. They take the fiber from the oatmeal, from the oat kernel, and they package it as oat bran. And that's just fiber from the oats, okay? And so if you use a tablespoon of oat bran, it's almost the same amount of oat bran you would get in a bowl of oatmeal. So by using a tablespoon or two in your cereal, you're just upping the soluble fiber a little more, which is better in helping the body to excrete the cholesterol. And just for your cholesterol people, cholesterol only comes from animal foods. Cholesterol is not found in the vegetable kingdom. Anything that has eyes and move and had a mother has cholesterol. That's how you know the difference. Anything that does not have eye or move like a plant or grows on a tree has no cholesterol, okay? So if you want to get the cholesterol down, you gotta cut the animal intake. So cut in half the amount of animal foods you're eating, okay? I would start with getting rid of the red meat, definitely the shellfish, and here's the breakdown. For fish, a 3-ounce portion of fish, you get about 60 milligrams of cholesterol per 3-ounce serving. For poultry, you get about 70 to 80 milligrams of cholesterol per 3-ounce serving. For red meat, you get 80 to 100 milligrams of cholesterol per 3-ounce serving. For shellfish, pound crawfish and shrimp, you get 120 milligrams of cholesterol per 3-ounce serving. So those people who get off the red meat and go on the shellfish, you jump from the frying pan right into the fire, okay? But the worst is the egg yolk. The yolk of one egg has anywhere from 212 to to 260 milligrams of cholesterol all by itself. And the American Heart Association recommends that a healthy person gets no more than 300 milligrams for the day. If you eat 2 eggs in the morning, you would have gotten over 500 milligrams, and that's one meal. And if you're eating other meats during the day, you could imagine how much cholesterol you get for the day. Hence, the reason why so many people have blocked arteries and so many people are dying with heart attack and stroke because of clogged arteries. So we need to do something about it because we don't want our arteries to be clogged. Okay? Oat bran, flaxseed will help. And of course, cutting the sauce and so forth would help. Conclusion. I know I've been talking a long time. Natural herbs have their place in health care. Most of them are food, so will not bring to the table any risks. Many of them are high in chlorophyll and brings a lot of vital nutrients to the table. Natural herbs work best along with a lifestyle change. So people who want to pop a pill and don't want to actually do the work in changing their lifestyle will not get the same result as someone who is choosing to change their lifestyle. God has given us the herbs of the field for medicine. Our food is our medicine, and we will finally eat of the tree of life, and the leaves of the tree is for the healing of the nations. Research shows a plant-based diet along with a healthy lifestyle increases longevity. We should lead a healthy lifestyle and eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. So people, I hope it has been informative, and I hope that I actually talked about the things that you needed to hear. If there's something I missed, please feel free to ask the question, because the area of nutrition is such a broad area, and there's so much to say when it comes to some of these herbal supplements and these natural herbs that is good for food. Okay, thank you very much. And I will entertain questions. I don't know how much time I have because I know I'm long-winded.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah, for a very informative session. I think we all learn a lot. Now, if there are any questions for Dr. Hannah, could you please open your mic and ask your question?
Yes, Dr. Hannah.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any, do you have any suggestions for, well, first of all, my father had COVID early this year. And as a result, he had some damage to his lungs. And so right now he has a breathing problem. And they have him on some medication that's kind of helping. And he's also using a nebulizer. But I'm wondering if there's something natural that he can use to, you know, kind of help him a bit more.
Actually, I'm not sure right now. I'd have to look in an herbal book to get that information right now. So maybe if you can call me at Better Living, I can check to see if there's anything that I could recommend that you can use. And of course, if he's on medication, you need to clear it with his physician because you don't want any contraindications and so forth like that.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does. But one other question.
Definitely making sure that he eats properly. Of course, anytime you have a lung problem or if there's any fluid problems, you need to make sure that he that he is, well, the doctors will give diuretics and everything, but eating properly is going to be very important in that.
Okay. I just want to ask you, have you ever heard about the Respiro Blend products?
What's that?
Respiro Blend products.
Not sure because there's so many companies with so many different names coming. I'm not too sure I've heard that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll give you a call.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
Sister Hannah.
Yes, hi, Jenny.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine. I can't hear you.
You hear me now?
Okay, go ahead.
Can I on empty stomach? Do I have to eat before I take that aloe? It is acid reflux.
Okay, oh, you're saying, is there anything that you have to eat before you take the aloe?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what I would do, aloe is like food. I would take the slab of aloe. This is what I did. The slab of aloe, I blended in a quart of water, and then I put it in the fridge, and I take a quarter cup every day. You could use a quarter cup once or twice a day, depending on what the problem is. But I'll tell you this, when I was at UG Pines, if you read Dr. Agatha Thrash's book, she would tell you if you're going through an attack, sip on aloe until you get relief.
Sit on aloe.
Yeah, sip on aloe until you get relief, but you need to eat on time because that's the major factor there. And then move out that dairy out of don't be using that dairy. Get some exercise because stress, if you're under stress, it's gonna drive the acid too because the body produces more acid during stress. So when I was going through my bout, when I was getting my exercise, I didn't have as much problem. But people who are not getting exercise, they're not eating on time. And then of course, there are some foods you have to stay away from until the inflammation heals up. You want to stay away from the peppery stuff, the acidic stuff like the lemon and the orange and the grapefruit, because they will have a burning sensation down the esophagus. And the reason why you have that burning sensation down the esophagus does not have a protective coating. So if it's inflamed because the acid regurgitating itself up the esophagus and in your mouth, you get that bitter taste. That's what's causing the inflammation in the esophagus. So when you go and eat anything with orange or anything acidic, it just burns. So again, you use the aloe and the slippery elm, okay? And then you make sure you eat on time to help to solve the problem. And after that is healed up, actually, for some of my clients, if they were really as bad as I was, I had to use hot and cold compresses. And I did that for a week. And when I did that for a week, it completely went away. Okay. And then after I was able to go back to my oranges and grapefruits and so forth like that. And I didn't have a bout with that problem until 2 years, 3 years later, when I was under stress, not eating on time, and all this stuff, that thing came back with vengeance. Okay. But here again, the lifestyle is so important. And I can tell you, for those who are using medication for acid reflux, you will be using that medication until thy kingdom come, and you will not get over that problem because you're not dealing with the issue. The issue is you're not eating on time, and you need to move those issues out. You need to help to heal the gut. You need to replenish with your probiotics. And once you get over that, if you use some hydrotherapy, once you stay on the proper diet and not eating on time, you will be able to maintain.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah. Sister Fox, Sister
Hi. Okay. Good evening, Sana.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, I want to know if there's a herb like for swollen feet. I do a lot of standing on my feet, right? And the bottom of my feet and the top, it swells constantly. So I want to know if there's anything that could assist in that swelling.
Yes. Let me tell you what you can, are you a diabetic?
No.
Okay. Once you're not a diabetic, you could use a hot and cold contrast bath. Okay. As hot as you can take it without burning yourself. Okay. And then you can go for 3 minutes in the hot, and 15 seconds in the cold, that contrast bath will actually help with the pain there. But the biggest thing you need to do, you sound like you have more of a sedentary job where you're just walking up and down, you're walking here and stopping, walking there and stopping. You need to get some continuous exercise to get the circulation going, okay? That kind of exercise you're going, at the end of the day, you're gonna have swollen feet, things that are not gonna do very well. But if you can take 30 minutes, at least 4 to 5 times a week and get your exercise, you will find that you wouldn't have half the problem with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And the hot and cold would help with the pain and so forth, and so forth. But the main thing is get the exercise. Okay, the circulation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I see Galaxy J2 Core.
Pardon me?
Galaxy J2 Core. I don't have a name. I see the mic open. You want to ask a question?
Yes, good afternoon. I didn't get the whole presentation, but what I got.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I said I didn't get to listen the whole presentation, but what I got to was very informative. I just wanted to add a comment to the first speaker. I had some experience in terms of COVID, and I find that a lot of people, even though we're in the Caribbean, tend to be lower in their vitamin D levels. So maybe that's something she could look into for the first speaker with her father. Because also there's been some studies to suggest too that vitamin D helps with respiratory infections and recovery. So maybe that's an area.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you for that. I would tell you this. The people who go to UG Pines, they would automatically check their vitamin D level, and they found that most Bahamians that came there was low in vitamin D.
Yes.
And I was one of them who did the thing, and I found out that I was low in vitamin D, and I'm outside in the sun in the middle of the day and so forth, getting my exercise. So I'm like, why am I low in vitamin D? So yes, supplementing with vitamin D3 is very important, and we realize it during COVID-19 how important that is.
Yes, that it really it was a game changer in terms of how people responded in terms of recovery and even resistance to the infection. And as you rightly said, she has to check the medication, but one of the herbs I know that was beneficial once it's not contraindicated to is the mullein. So when you get around, mullein.
Mullein is definitely an herb that is very good for those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Provided that it will not
contraindicate. With the medication.
So, I wanted to say very informative presentation, and I just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you.
For the client, no problem. Thank
Yep,
you.
Alex.
Thank you.
Question.
Yep, Alex, and then Siobhan.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing?
Hi.
Mr. Idamae, thank you for that very informative and comprehensive presentation that you did. It was quite informative and covered a number of topics that we as Bahamians and people generally don't regard. I got it.
Alex, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Miss Alex.
Once again, Ms. Forbes, to see I talk to you a lot.
Some of the other mics, I will call you. Alex is trying to get in now.
Yes, I'd like for your comprehensive, informative presentation. And we in the Bahamas, we are fortunate because of number of the bushes that we have locally, but Bahamians are not aware of the bushes. So instead of them using them, they actually just classify them as weed.
Yes.
So my mother, I did get my mother on the call. So a number of things that I was telling her is some of the same things that you reinforced, and you came back and said. So I'd like to thank you for saying that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Siobhan?
My question is just for the young lady who was speaking beforehand regarding the Bahamians not having sufficient vitamin D. Even though we are consistently in the sun, it seems like our numbers are still down. Is there any cause for this specifically in our diet that our numbers aren't up, considering that we're in the sun all the time? And when you say take vitamin D, how do we test if we are low? And are we just taking a supplement, just take a regular vitamin D supplement that's in the food store? So that's 3 questions in one.
Well, I know that there are some places you can go and test for the vitamin D deficiency right now. I think, oh dear, I can't, well, anyhow, you can call the different labs and you can find out. There are places where you can test right now. It was not a routine thing that we tested. I always wondered the same thing, why? And it's definitely something that needs to be researched. I am thinking that it's probably the chemical environment that we're in, and there's all kind of chemicals probably block the sun rays, something, because it is so strange that we would be so vitamin D deficient in such a sunny climate. So I am only coming to the conclusion that it must be something to do with ozone layer, but it's definitely something that needs to be researched to see why that is a fact.
Mm-hmm. And should we take just any regular supplements? It doesn't matter, or
well, if it's vitamin D3, it's vitamin D3. So, but if you want to go and check, because I'll tell you this, as dietitians, the RD, the recommended daily allowance for vitamin D was much lower. It was only about 500 international unit. Right now, people are getting anywhere from 5 to 10,000 or more international unit. We know that it has been about, say, 5 years ago that they were debating it. They realized that we do need more. And we were actually taught that vitamin D can be toxic if you get too much of it. But it seems to me, from what I'm hearing, anywhere from 5 to 10,000 international unit is safe and so forth like that. I don't know about anything more than that, because of course you don't want to go to the next side.
Problem. Thank you. Thank you.
I can say 5,000 units seems to be a feasible amount to take. But another thing relative to that question, I don't know. There are 2 things that I can think of. One is that Bahamians, as a rule, don't really like the sun. So they would tend not to go out when the sun is hot, like between 10 and 2. You'll see them out in the morning or in the afternoon jogging, but when the sun is hot, that's not their thing. So that's one thing that we could probably look at, but nobody's really quite certain. The other thing, of course, is a tendency of, well, this is anecdotal. In my practice, I see a lot of bleachers. People don't like the sun, and then they use these things that cause their skin thinning and makes it difficult for them to tolerate the sunlight. But those are anecdotal things, just things that we can look at.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Hannah? Over to you. Linda Major, this is the last question, or last comment.
Yes,
Major.
just, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, just commenting on the vitamin D thing. Our dark skin also keeps us from taking in as much vitamin D as we would like to. So we have to stay on the sun much longer than people of paler skin. And I was also reading about taking in vitamin D3 it could cause the body not to be able to absorb the calcium in your blood. So if you take D3, you should also take K2, which helps the body to absorb the calcium. Because at one point I had too much calcium in my blood, and they thought all kinds of things were wrong with me. But it was just recently, but I did take a test afterwards, and there was no calcium in my blood. And I was reading recently that K3 helps the body to absorb the calcium that D3 causes to leach into the blood.
Yes, I've seen some combination with D and K.
Mm-hmm. K2, D3 and
Okay.
K2.
I said Linda, but I see Kefi, so I'm going to allow Kefi's iPhone. With your hand raised, let's be the last one.
Hi, Idamae. Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
I think that you should probably give them a few of the symptoms of a lack of deficiency of vitamin D. I know about 12 years ago, I really thought I was dying. My doctors couldn't figure out what the problem was with me. I don't know what caused her to do the vitamin D test. It was so low, she was surprised I was able to even function. So I think if we could share with them some of the symptoms so they won't be worried and thinking that they do have it, because the symptoms are very extreme, letharginess and couldn't focus, weak, all those things are some of the symptoms. But if you can share with them
and infection and so forth like that,
yeah.
because we realize it's just now that we're realizing that the vitamin D is very important in the whole immune system. Before, we thought it was only for bones.
Right.
We thought it was only for bones and rickets and so forth like that. But we realized the whole immune system, helping to protect against cancer and several diseases, the vitamin D is so important. And that's why it's really, for the last 10 years, it has been, we have been battling at the academy, and we had all the people who said the RD who were battling with where they should raise it to and how high to raise it and whether it will be toxic and all these kinds of things. And still there's lots of information coming out on it. But actually COVID-19 really brought a lot of things to the table, and we realized how important for the whole immune system. I think that's the biggest thing the vitamin D3 is important for. But it's a whole, yes.
Also, I'd like for you to tell us as Adventists who are vegetarians, what do you think some of the main tests we should focus on when we go to the doctors? Like a few years ago, I had some symptoms, and they took away my gallbladder thinking I had gallstones. I did not. It turned out that I had pancreatitis, not pancreatic cancer, but pancreatitis. What are some of the tests that we should take as vegetarians, especially on a plant-based diet, to check and see where we're at with deficiencies and all that other stuff? And then why are Adventists dying from pancreatic cancer? That's what I want to know. I'm done. Thank you, Idamae.
I actually am not sure how to answer that question, but I know we definitely need to check with the B12. Okay, we now know we need to be up on the D3, but not just vegetarians. All of us, it seems, need to be up on that. We definitely need, well, vegetarians are not, don't usually have a problem with the cholesterol unless genetically you have an issue with cholesterol, because there are a few of us who have high cholesterol in spite of the fact that we're not eating animal foods because the body is producing more than it needs. But they are very few in number. Definitely, the normal things that people check for is the calcium, the blood, to see where their iron is and so forth. These are the normal things. It's just, I wish that here in the Bahamas, they would put the D3 as a part of the overall testing, because it's still something you have to test by itself, and it can be very expensive. I know at UG Pines, it came with the package, and with the package, it was very cheap, you know. But that's something, because we have an issue, I think we need to put that in the package. I don't know what Dr. Carter thinks, but it is a concern that I think.
I think that all vegetarians should check their amylase and lipase level frequently. That's my suggestion too.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me add this to you. I would like to recommend that all vegetarians make sure that they get an adequate amount of flaxseed on a daily basis. You can use the capsules, whether the 1,000 or the 1,200, 1,200. The reason I say that is about 10 months ago, I got up and I could not button the sleeve on my left long sleeve shirt. I realized that my fingers were not working properly. And then when I went to work, I realized that I couldn't write properly. And when I looked at it, I realized that probably one of the things that was missing is those B vitamins. The ones, and you have the omega vitamins. And so I started on the flaxseed, and right now, since then, within a month or so, it all cleared up and there's been no problem. So these are some of the things that we need to do. It basically is to check yourself and don't be afraid to do research, but don't throw up your hand and say, I'm going back to me.
Yes. I do know that flaxseed oil is excellent for inflammation, because I've had several people who had lupus, and that's one of the things that helps. And I use flaxseed oil myself, and it helps with the joints. You see what I mean? So the omega-3 fatty acid that's in there, and we don't know, there are still some other phytochemicals that's in that flaxseed that we probably don't know of yet. So definitely, thank you for that testimony, Doc, because I find that it's effective for me too.
Could I ask one question about gout? Your recommendations for gout, any specific herbal medicine towards treating gout?
Okay, gout is uric acid, and that's neat. I mean, there are some vegetables that has uric acid, but if you cut the animal, you will have, you will do better, because the red meat and the animal foods are very high in the uric acid. And the herbal thing that you could use that would help with the uric acid is cherries, believe it or not. Cherries is very good in helping with that uric acid, but you got to cut the source. If you want to get over the problem, you need to deal with the issue. And the issue is the uric acid, and most of the uric acid is coming from the animal intake.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dr. Carter. Rhonda.
Good afternoon, everyone. I trust that you were all listening keenly to Dr. Hannah's awesome presentation today about all of the various phytochemicals that God has graciously given us to treat various illnesses. Dr. Hannah, without a doubt, I believe that your presentation was well received by all persons who took the time out to log onto this Zoom platform today. The information that you presented today was indeed timely because of all the different health challenges that persons are faced with today. It was also current, comprehensive, and very interesting. In fact, the health nuggets that you shared with us has left us hungry for more. But unfortunately, that would not be possible because your busy schedule certainly would not allow that. So on behalf of the Johnson Park Health Ministries Department, I would like to say thank you with this small token of appreciation. I don't know if you can see it. It's a
I can. It looks beautiful.
Okay. And we'd like to say thanks for agreeing to speak without hesitation at this virtual Ask the Nutritionist event. I hope that we all put the information that you have imparted to good use and incorporated into our daily lives so that we can make healthier choices and live healthier lives.
Amen.
Dr. Hannah, we pray that God may continue to bless you abundantly with good health so that you can continue to spread the health message far and wide in order to have a positive impact on others around you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Sister Forbes, are you speaking?
Oh, you couldn't hear me then? Hello?
No,
Can you
we
hear me
weren't.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me earlier. Yes, I just was saying I concur with you, Dr. Carter. Everything was just wonderful. I learned so much today. The corn silk, I plan to use that because I had UTI. I'm going to use that. The shepherd needle, I'm going to use that as well in my soup and lasagna. So I had an awesome time. So we're now going to have our closing prayer by Dr. Kevin Moss.
Let's pray. Oh, kind and Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this opportunity that Thou hast given us to learn more about how You have provided for us in nature to keep our bodies and our minds healthy. Lord, we pray that we will take this information that we have learned and that we will put it into practice, that we may be better individual and be better prepared to serve You. Save us, allow us in Your eternal kingdom, we pray. In Jesus' worthy name, amen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hannah. Thank you to all our participants, Mr. Prince Forbes, Dr. Moss, Dr. John Carter, and Dr. Rhonda Carter. I want to thank the media team and all persons who are on Zoom with us. Thank you. You made this event a success. And I say to God be the glory, great things He has done. May God continue to bless all of you. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.